This hour, the US is allegedly pressuring the EU over the controversial TTIP trade and partnership agreement. That conclusion's being drawn from leaked texts from the highly secretive negotiations. Greenpeace released the documents and say they show TTIP could adversely affect European citizens' rights and the environment.
Our initial assessment from these chapters is that the EU, in relation to environmental protection, public health, product standards that are relevant for consumers, has a fairly bad position, and the United States is much worse.
Well, for more, let's now bring in our Europe correspondent, Peter Oliver. Peter, what have the leaked documents revealed about the intercontinental deal here?
Well, these TTIP negotiations are incredibly secretive, so the fact that we've been able to get a glimpse into them through these 248 pages put forward by Greenpeace is really something of a coup. What it does show, though, is the level of pressure being placed on the European side by the United States. In one particular area, this concerns EU car manufacturers potentially being locked out of the US market if the Europeans don't adhere to certain regulations pertaining to food and farming. Now, these revolve around things like the labelling of foods. In the US, there's less stringent labelling laws about having to tell the consumer exactly what's gone into their product. It also revolves around GM foods, genetically modified foods, a huge issue here in Europe. If you look over to the United States, 170 GM crops are approved. Here in Europe, only one, and it's a big issue that gets people out onto the streets. Just a couple of weeks ago, when President Obama was here, we saw tens of thousands of people demonstrating in Hanover. Just towards the end of last year, hundreds of thousands here in Berlin saying that no, they didn't want these GM crops in Europe. We're also seeing the US side pushing for a change in how companies are regulated, taking away public oversight and allowing companies to regulate themselves, as well as giving US companies a bigger say in European legislation and lawmaking, that they would in fact be on the inside with the European Commission making the rules that would govern their industries. Now, what we said is that this is these are very secretive talks that go on, so having this insight is a big look behind the curtain, as it were, but it's a look behind the curtain that's prompting those who are opposed to the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership to say, if it continues like this, then it surely can't be passed in its current form.
Bringing us up to date with what we know so far about that. RT's Peter Oliver in Berlin speaking to us. Thank you.